He woke up on the ground with nothing. No wallet. No phone. No memories. Just a body, breathing, in the middle of nowhere. In August of 2004, a man was found behind a fast food restaurant in Georgia. He was lying unconscious near a dumpster. When he finally came to, he had no idea who he was. No idea how he got there. No idea what his life had been before that moment. This wasn't confusion. This was emptiness. Doctors asked him simple questions. His name. His age. Where he lived. He couldn't answer a single one. He knew how to speak. He knew how to read. He understood the world around him. But his past was gone. Completely. Authorities assumed this would be temporary. Memory loss after trauma isn't unusual. They expected things to come back slowly. A face. A place. A name. Nothing did. Days passed. Then weeks. Then months. The man remained a blank slate. With no identification and no missing person report that matched him, officials gave him a temporary name. Benjaman Kyle. Not Benjamin. Benjamin. A small spelling change that would later become symbolic. A name almost right, but not quite. Just like his life. Benjaman was estimated to be in his late 50s or early 60s. He had scars that suggested surgery. He had dental work done. He had the posture and habits of someone educated. But no one was looking for him. No family came forward. No friends recognized him. No employer reported him missing. In a country with millions of people, he existed nowhere. That absence was terrifying. Because people don't just vanish from every system at once. They leave traces. Records. Paperwork. Digital footprints. Benjaman had none. He didn't know his own birthday. He didn't recognize his own face. He didn't even know if Benjaman Kyle belonged to him. And yet, he was clearly someone. He spoke with a calm, neutral American accent. He had manners. He understood social cues. He could hold long conversations about politics, history, and science, but nothing personal. Ask him about his childhood, and there was silence. Ask him about his parents, and he felt nothing. Ask him where he had lived, and his mind returned nothing but fog. This wasn't an act. Doctors tested him. Psychologists evaluated him. Neurologists scanned his brain. There was no sign of deception. No evidence of malingering. They were left with one conclusion. This man had truly lost his identity. Benjaman Kyle became one of the most unusual cases of amnesia ever documented. He lived in shelters. He relied on kindness from strangers. He tried to rebuild a life without knowing who he had been. But the mystery wasn't just his memory. It was the silence surrounding him. Somewhere, he had come from a life that left no one searching. And that raised the most disturbing question of all. How does a man live for decades and disappear so completely that even his absence goes unnoticed? The most terrifying part wasn't that Benjaman Kyle couldn't remember his past. It was that his mind felt normal. He could think clearly. He could reason. He could hold conversations without confusion. There was no haze. No distortion. No sense that memories were hiding just out of reach. They were simply gone. Doctors asked him to describe the moment he woke up. He said it felt like opening his eyes for the first time in a body that already existed. His thoughts worked, but there was no story behind them. No emotional anchor. No personal history. Imagine knowing how the world works, but not knowing who you are inside it. That was Benjaman's reality. Hospital staff tried familiar triggers. Music from different decades. Old TV shows. Historical events. Smells. Food. Faces. Nothing sparked recognition. Nothing caused emotional response tied to memory. His brain refused to cooperate. Medical scans showed no obvious damage. No stroke. No tumor. No visible injury that could explain such a complete erasure. This made his condition even more unusual. Most amnesia cases are partial. They affect short-term memory or specific time periods. Benjaman's was total. Retrograde amnesia so deep it erased decades. Yet his skills remained. He could write clearly. He could debate intelligently. He understood technology well enough for his age. These weren't things you learn by accident. They pointed to a life that had been structured, educated, stable. But there was no emotional recall attached to them. Benjaman described it as reading a book with all the personal chapters torn out. Facts existed, but the story didn't. Psychologists considered dissociative amnesia a condition triggered by severe trauma. In rare cases, the mind protects itself by blocking access to identity and personal memory. If that were true, something devastating had happened before he collapsed behind that restaurant. Something his mind decided he could not survive remembering. But what kind of trauma erases everything? Not just one event. Not just one relationship. But an entire life. That question haunted everyone who studied the case. Benjaman himself tried to reconstruct clues from his own behavior. He noticed his preferences. The way he folded clothes. The way he spoke. His comfort with certain topics and discomfort with others. But these were fragments without context. He had no flashbacks. No nightmares tied to the past. No emotional triggers. Just absence. Even his physical scars refused to tell a story. Surgical scars hinted at medical procedures. Dental work suggested access to healthcare. But none of it led anywhere. And time made things worse. The longer his memories stayed gone, the less likely they were to return. Doctors warned that if nothing came back within the first few years, it might never come back at all. Benjaman accepted this reality with quiet dignity. He didn't panic. He didn't invent stories. He didn't claim false memories. He simply lived. Which made the mystery even deeper. Because people who fake amnesia slip eventually. Benjaman never did. And as the years passed, another disturbing truth became impossible to ignore. If Benjaman Kyle truly had no past, then somewhere, a life had ended without anyone noticing. And if that could happen to him, it could happen to anyone. With no memories to guide them, investigators turned to the only evidence left. Benjaman himself. Every detail became a clue. The way he spoke. The words he chose. The habits he didn't realize he had. Linguists listened closely to his accent. It was American, but not strongly regional. No deep southern drawl. No clear northern edge. Some thought they heard traces of the Midwest. Others suggested the Northeast. Nothing definitive. Which was strange. Most people carry their hometown in their voice. Benjaman's voice seemed neutral. As if it had been smoothed out by years of moving. Or years of formal environments where accents fade. Then there were his manners. He was polite. Measured. Thoughtful. He spoke slowly and carefully, often choosing words with precision. He listened more than he talked. He didn't interrupt. He didn't exaggerate. These traits suggested education. Possibly professional life. Possibly someone used to offices, meetings, structure. But again, no trail followed. Doctors examined his scars more closely. One appeared to be from chest surgery. Another suggested an older injury. His dental work was extensive and high quality. This wasn't someone who had lived without access to care. This was someone who, at some point, had resources. Which raised another troubling question. If Benjaman had lived a stable, supported life, why was no one looking for him? Investigators searched missing person databases, hospitals, Shelters. Veterans' records. Social Security files. Employment records. Nothing matched. Not even close. His fingerprints didn't return results. His DNA, at the time, had nowhere to go. He existed physically, but not administratively. Benjamin himself noticed patterns in his behavior. He was uncomfortable with certain noises. He avoided confrontation. He preferred order. He showed signs of stress around authority figures, but not fear. As if he'd learned caution from experience. But experience without memory is useless. People online became fascinated by his story. Amateur investigators analyzed photos, compared faces, posted theories. Some claimed he resembled relatives who had disappeared years earlier. Every lead was followed. Every lead failed. What made this case so haunting was that Benjamin didn't feel like a man pretending to be lost. He felt like a man who truly had been erased. And erasure is rarely random. Someone, somewhere, had known him, worked with him, spoken to him, lived alongside him. Yet no one recognized him. That silence grew heavier with each passing year. Because the clue said he had lived a real life. But the world said that life never existed. And the longer no answers came, the more unsettling the mystery became. As the months turned into years, the search for Benjaman Kyle's identity became something else entirely. It stopped being an investigation. It became an obsession. Law enforcement had exhausted traditional methods. Missing persons databases produced nothing. Hospitals had no matching records. Shelters and outreach programs came up empty. Even when new systems and digital tools became available, his name never appeared. Because his name wasn't real. And neither, it seemed, was his past. Benjamin lived in a strange limbo. He existed in the present but was locked out of everything before it. He relied on shelters, volunteers, and strangers who were moved by his calm honesty. He never asked for pity. He never exaggerated his story. He simply told the truth. I don't know who I am. That truth drew attention. Journalists began covering the case. Podcasts discussed it. Online forums tried to solve it collectively. People mailed photos of missing relatives. Tips poured in from across the country. Every lead followed the same pattern. Hope. Excitement. Disappointment. A man in Ohio looked similar, ruled out. A missing professor from New England, wrong age. A drifter reported in Texas didn't match medical details. Again and again, identity came close, then vanished. Benjamin participated in interviews, always careful, always measured. He didn't embellish. He didn't speculate wildly. When he didn't know something, he said so. That consistency mattered. Because false identities collapse under pressure. Benjamin never did. What made the search even more disturbing was what it suggested about modern life. In a world filled with records, surveillance, databases, and digital trails, one man had slipped through completely. No credit history. No driver's license. No employment records. No tax filings. It was as if his life had been deliberately erased. Or as if it had ended long before his body was found behind that restaurant. Some investigators began to consider a painful possibility. What if Benjaman Kyle wasn't missing? What if the person he had been was never reported missing at all? If he had been estranged? If he had been isolated? If he had cut ties years earlier? Then no one would be looking. That idea unsettled even seasoned professionals. Because it meant a person could vanish entirely, not through crime, but through absence. Benjamin himself wrestled with this possibility. He wondered if he had lived alone. If he had no close family. If he had chosen distance long before his memory disappeared. But these were guesses. and guesses offered no comfort. Years passed. His age advanced. His health fluctuated. Still, nothing returned. No memory. No recognition. No sudden breakthrough. And yet, the search continued. Because something about the case felt unfinished. Too clean. Too empty. Lives don't usually disappear without friction. Somewhere, something didn't add up. And eventually, after more than a decade of silence, science caught up. A new tool would finally give Benjaman Kyle something he'd never had before. A direction. For more than a decade, Benjaman Kyle's case had gone nowhere. Then science changed the rules. By the mid-2010s, DNA testing had evolved beyond simple databases of criminals and missing persons. New genetic genealogy tools made it possible to trace family connections through distant relatives, people who didn't even know they were part of a mystery. Benjaman agreed to be tested. He had nothing to lose. When the results came back, they didn't give him a name right away. Instead, they gave investigators something far more powerful. A family tree. For the first time, there was proof that Benjaman Kyle belonged somewhere. His DNA matched relatives scattered across the United States. Cousins. Extended family members. People who shared blood, but not memories. Genealogists worked backward, mapping connections generation by generation. It took months of careful analysis. Every branch was examined. Every possibility tested. Then, finally, a name emerged. William Powell. Born in Indiana. College-educated. A life that existed, on paper. After more than 10 years of not knowing who he was, Benjaman Kyle had an identity. But the relief didn't last. Because the answers raised even more questions. William Powell had a documented past. Education records. Family history. A timeline that made sense. But when investigators looked closer, something felt wrong. The timeline ended abruptly. There were gaps. Years unaccounted for. No clear explanation of how William Powell became Benjaman Kyle. Family members were contacted. Some were shocked. Others were confused. A few remembered William vaguely. Some hadn't seen him in decades. There was no dramatic falling out. No clear reason for disappearance. No reported crime. Just distance. William Powell had slowly drifted away from his past life long before his memory vanished. He had cut contact. Changed locations. Disappeared socially. Which meant the mystery didn't begin in 2004. It began years earlier. The DNA breakthrough proved Benjaman Kyle wasn't a ghost. But it didn't explain why his life fractured the way it did. Doctors revisited his condition with new urgency. Could prolonged isolation, stress, or psychological trauma have triggered total amnesia? Possibly. But no single event stood out. There was no documented accident. No confirmed injury. No clear cause. Benjaman finally knew his name. But knowing it didn't bring his memories back. He didn't suddenly recognize family. He didn't feel emotional connection. The name felt like information, not identity. That was the most haunting part. Even when the mystery seemed solved, it wasn't. Because identity is more than a label. It's memory. Emotion. Story. And Benjaman still had none of those. The DNA breakthrough closed one door. And opened another. If William Powell chose to disappear before losing his memory, then what was he running from? Finding a name should have ended the mystery. Instead, it made everything heavier. When Benjaman Kyle learned that he was William Powell, the world expected a transformation. A rush of memories. A sudden emotional release. A sense of coming home. None of that happened. The name didn't unlock anything. It sat in his mind like a fact learned from a book. Useful. Informational. Empty. William Powell had existed. Records proved that. But Benjamin Kyle didn't feel like William Powell. There was no recognition when he saw old photographs. No emotional pull toward places he once lived. No warmth when speaking to people who shared his blood. That disconnect disturbed doctors and investigators alike. Because even in severe amnesia cases, names and faces often trigger something. Here, there was nothing. Which meant the mystery hadn't ended. It had only changed shape. As researchers dug deeper into William Powell's life, they found a pattern that explained a lot, but not everything. He had been drifting for years. Moving from place to place. Losing touch with family. Living quietly. Avoiding long-term connections. There was no criminal history. No scandal. No known addiction. No documented mental illness that could explain such extreme withdrawal. It looked less like a breakdown, and more like a slow erasure. Some experts believe the amnesia may not have been a single event, but the final stage of a long psychological collapse. A mind under constant stress can begin to fragment. Identity weakens. Memory becomes unstable. Then one day, it breaks completely. If that's true, Benjamin Kyle didn't just lose his memory behind that restaurant. He had been losing himself for years. That idea explains the silence. Why no one reported him missing? Why records stopped appearing? Why his disappearance felt unnoticed? He had already vanished socially before he vanished mentally. But that explanation still leaves gaps. What caused the stress? What happened before the collapse? Why did his mind choose total erasure instead of partial escape? Those answers remain locked. Doctors revisited his scars with new concern. Was there an injury never documented? A medical event no one witnessed? Something that happened while he was already isolated? There were no records to confirm or deny it. William Powell had stepped outside the systems that track lives. And once outside, anything could happen. Benjamin himself struggled with the revelation. Knowing his name didn't make his life easier. It made it stranger. He now knew there was a past he could never reach. A life he could never return to. Family members offered contact, but the emotional bridge was broken. You can't reconnect with people you don't remember loving. So Benjamin remained in between. Not fully lost. Not fully found. And the most unsettling part? The discovery of his name didn't explain why his mind erased everything, only that it did. Which means the core mystery remains untouched. Not who he was. But what happened to him? Once Benjamin Kyle had a name, theories multiplied instead of disappearing. Some experts focused on dissociative amnesia. The idea is unsettling but simple. When trauma overwhelms the mind, it can sever access to identity as a form of survival. Not selective forgetting. Not repression of one event. A complete shutdown. But dissociative amnesia, this total is rare. Extremely rare. It usually follows a clear, catastrophic trigger. Violence. Severe abuse. A single moment so unbearable the mind refuses to store it. In Benjamin's case, no such event was ever documented. No police report. No hospital record. No witness. Which raises the question, what kind of trauma leaves no trace? Another theory points to gradual psychological collapse. Years of isolation. Chronic stress. Identity erosion over time. A slow detachment from self that finally snapped. This theory fits parts of William Powell's life. The drifting. The severed ties. The silence. It suggests the amnesia wasn't sudden, but the final stage of something long in progress. But even that doesn't fully explain the depth of the loss. People under stress forget details. Periods of time. Sometimes entire chapters. They don't usually forget everything. Then there's the possibility of an undocumented medical event. A fall. A head injury. A stroke-like episode that happened while he was already off the grid. Something that damaged memory pathways without leaving obvious signs. Doctors searched for evidence. They found none. Which leads to the most uncomfortable theory of all. That Benjaman Kyle's case is a reminder of how fragile identity truly is. We like to believe we are stable, continuous. That memory is permanent. But neuroscience tells a darker story. Identity is maintained, not guaranteed. It depends on health, environment, connection. Remove enough of those supports and the mind can fail silently. No explosion. No warning. Just absence. This theory doesn't offer comfort, because it means there may be no single answer. No villain. No moment to point to and say, that's when it happened. Just a convergence of factors that aligned in the worst possible way. Investigators hate this explanation, because it can't be proven or disproven. And it leaves one final question hanging in the air. If this could happen to Benjaman Kyle, how many others have disappeared the same way? This is where the story refuses to end. Even with a name, even with a history on paper, Benjaman Kyle remains a mystery. William Powell existed. Records confirm it. But the person who lived those years is unreachable. Locked behind a wall that science, family, and time have failed to break. Benjaman lives only in the present. He knows facts about his former life. Where he was born. Where he studied. The outline of his past. But there is no emotional connection. No internal voice saying, that was me. It's like reading someone else's biography. And that raises the final, unsettling question. Is identity the sum of our experiences? Or the memories of them? If memories vanish, does the person vanish too? In Benjaman's case, the answer feels painfully close to yes. He didn't choose to disappear in the way people imagine. There was no dramatic escape. No deliberate reinvention. Instead, his disappearance was quiet, internal, and almost invisible. He walked away from his life long before his memory was gone. And when his mind finally erased what remained, there was nothing left for the world to recognize. No missing person report. No urgent search. No alarms. Just a man found unconscious behind a restaurant, already forgotten by the life he once lived. That's what makes this case so disturbing. Not the amnesia. Not the mystery. But the ease with which a person can vanish without anyone noticing. Benjaman Kyle's story is not about secrets or conspiracies. It's about isolation. About how identity erodes when connection disappears. About how systems fail people who quietly fall out of view. Even today, parts of his life remain unanswered. What pushed him away from everyone he knew? What stressor finally broke his mind? Was there a single moment that triggered everything? We may never know. And that may be the hardest truth to accept. Some mysteries aren't waiting to be solved. They are warnings. Warnings about how fragile memory is. How easily people become invisible. How thin the line is between being known and being lost. Benjaman Kyle was found. But the man he used to be? He may be gone forever.